A minute of listening, a lifetime of understanding. Have you ever stopped to think about what your later years will look like? Will you be able to maintain your independence, or will society push you toward a path that seems predetermined? For many, the thought of aging comes with fears of dependence, loneliness, and loss of freedom. Nursing homes are often seen as the only option when self-care becomes challenging. But is that really true? Is there another way to grow old while still holding on to the freedom that makes life meaningful? At Golden Years Balance, we believe that aging is not about losing control. It's about adapting, making choices, and finding ways to live fully. Aging is not the end of freedom. It's a transition into a new phase of life where wisdom, experience, and resilience take center stage. The key is to shift our perspective, embrace change, and find innovative solutions that allow us to maintain dignity and autonomy. Today, we'll explore 6 inspiring stories of seniors who defied expectations and found unique ways to continue living on their terms. These individuals didn't let societal norms dictate their future. Some chose unconventional housing solutions. Others developed new skills or built thriving communities. They prove that age is just a number when you have the courage to design your own path. Along the way, I'll share personal insights, professional advice, and heartwarming lessons that may change the way you view aging forever. Whether you're approaching retirement or thinking about a loved one's future, these stories will inspire you to rethink what it truly means to grow old. Let's dive in. Story 1. The resilient old man, Mr. Bernard, and his determination to live independently. At 87 years old, Mr. Bernard had one simple philosophy: as long as I'm breathing, I'm in charge of my own life. For decades, he had lived by this principle, shaping a life that was filled with routines, responsibilities, and a sense of purpose. Every morning, he started his day with a strong cup of black coffee, a brisk walk around the neighborhood, and a visit to the local bakery, where he engaged in lively debates with old friends. These rituals were more than habits. They were affirmations of his independence, a declaration that he was still the master of his own fate. But as time passed, his body began to betray him. The sharp twinge in his knees, the slight tremor in his hands, and the occasional dizziness served as undeniable reminders that he was no longer as strong as before. His family, ever concerned for his well-being, began urging him to consider moving into a nursing home. They cited the increasing risk of falls, the challenge of cooking his own meals, and the potential dangers of living alone as compelling reasons for such a transition. Bernard, however, was resolute. "Why should I surrender my freedom now? I've taken care of myself for decades," he insisted. For him, moving into a nursing home felt like an admission of defeat, a relinquishment of everything he had worked so hard to maintain. He wasn't ready to give up his independence, not yet, not ever, if he could help it. Instead of yielding to the concerns of his family, Bernard took a proactive approach. He made smart adaptations to his lifestyle, allowing him to continue living safely in his own home. He hired a housekeeper to assist with cleaning and chores, ensuring that his living space remained tidy and hazard-free. He installed safety rails in the bathroom and along the staircases to prevent falls. A medical alert system was put in place, giving him and his family peace of mind in case of an emergency. His daughter took over grocery shopping and meal preparation, ensuring he maintained a balanced diet without the strain of daily cooking. With these adjustments, Bernard found a way to preserve his independence while acknowledging the realities of aging. Mr. Bernard's story is not unique. Across the world, countless elderly individuals face the same dilemma: how to balance independence with safety as they grow older. For many, the thought of losing control over their daily lives is far more frightening than the physical ailments that come with age. Research has shown that a sense of autonomy is crucial for the well-being of seniors. When elderly individuals feel they are still in charge of their own decisions, they are more likely to experience better mental health, greater life satisfaction, and even improved physical health. Aging doesn't mean giving up control, it means adjusting wisely. With the right support systems in place, many seniors can continue living safely in their own homes rather than moving into a care facility prematurely. Modern technology, from smart home devices to wearable health monitors, has made it easier than ever for older adults to maintain their independence without compromising their safety. As a physician, I've seen countless elderly patients thrive simply because they feel in control of their lives. The moment they begin to believe they are a burden to their families, their health often declines rapidly. Depression, anxiety, and a sense of helplessness can set in, accelerating physical deterioration. On the other hand, when seniors are empowered to make their own choices and receive the necessary support without feeling like they are being forced into dependency, they tend to remain more active, engaged, and mentally sharp. Families play a critical role in this process. Instead of pressuring elderly loved ones to move into a facility, they should focus on finding ways to support their independence. Simple modifications, such as grab bars in bathrooms, non-slip mats, improved lighting, and voice-activated home assistance, can make a world of difference. More importantly, regular social interactions, whether through family visits, community activities, or virtual connections, help seniors maintain a sense of belonging and purpose. Society's approach to aging is evolving. While traditional nursing homes and assisted living facilities are valuable options for those with serious medical needs, many seniors today prefer to age in place. This trend has given rise to innovative solutions such as co-housing communities for older adults, in-home care services, and neighbourhood programs designed to assist seniors with everyday tasks. Additionally, advancements in medical technology are allowing older individuals to monitor their health more effectively from home, reducing the need for frequent hospital visits. Mr. Bernard's story serves as an inspiring reminder that aging does not have to mean losing control over one's life. It is about adaptation, resilience, and finding new ways to navigate the challenges that come with time. His determination to live independently, coupled with the practical adjustments he made, ensured that he could continue enjoying his morning coffee, his neighbourhood walks, and his spirited debates at the bakery, all on his own terms. For those entering their later years, Bernard's philosophy offers a valuable lesson. Independence is not about refusing help. It's about making the right choices that allow for both safety and self-sufficiency. As long as one has the will to adapt, aging can be a journey of empowerment rather than limitation. Story 2. The TikToker Grandma. Mrs. Agatha's Digital Rebirth. At 78, Mrs. Agatha never imagined that a casual afternoon with her grandchildren would change her life. She had always been a traditional woman, finding joy in gardening, baking, and reading. But that day, she noticed her grandchildren giggling at their phones, mesmerized by short, fast-paced videos on TikTok. Curiosity got the better of her. "What's so funny?" she asked, peering over her granddaughter Lily's shoulder. "Just a TikTok video, Grandma," Lily replied, still chuckling. "Can old folks join too?" Mrs. Agatha asked with a twinkle in her eye. Lily hesitated for a moment before responding. "I've never seen a grandma do it, but why not?" That was all the encouragement Mrs. Agatha needed. Determined to try something new, she asked her grandchildren to help her set up an account. "What should my username be?" she pondered aloud. "How about Granny Agatha Cooks?" suggested Lily, knowing her grandma's legendary kitchen skills. Her first video was simple, a light-hearted clip of her dancing while waiting for a cake to bake in the oven. She expected nothing more than a few family members to see it, but within hours, the video had thousands of views and comments flooding in. "Grandma, you're adorable," one person wrote. "Please share your baking secrets," another pleaded. Flushed with excitement, Mrs. Agatha realized she had stumbled upon something magical. She decided to dive deeper. In the following weeks, she experimented with various TikTok trends. She filmed herself attempting viral dances, reenacting popular sound clips, and even playfully lip-syncing to famous movie lines. The response was overwhelming. People from all over the world appreciated her energy, humor, and wisdom. She also started live streaming her family recipes, demonstrating how to make old-fashioned apple pie and teaching viewers the secrets of homemade pasta. The comments came flooding in. "This reminds me of my grandma's cooking. Thank you for sharing these traditions." Buoyed by the positive feedback, she expanded her content. She invited her elderly neighbour, Mr. Thompson, to co-host a gardening Q&A. The duo soon became internet sensations, known for their witty banter and deep-rooted knowledge of homegrown vegetables. Yet not everyone was supportive. As her follower count grew into the millions, so did the criticisms. She's acting too young. Why is an old lady embarrassing herself online? Initially, these comments stung. But Mrs. Agatha was not one to be easily deterred. "I've never done this before. Why not try?" she responded in a video addressing her critics. Aging doesn't mean stopping new experiences. It means embracing them differently. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring seniors worldwide to break stereotypes and explore digital spaces without fear. Mrs. Agatha's presence on TikTok was more than just entertainment. Her videos became a source of joy for people struggling with loneliness, depression, or nostalgia. One message particularly moved her. "I lost my grandma last year. Watching you makes me feel like she's still with me. Thank you." It was then that she realized the true power of her content. She wasn't just making videos, she was providing comfort, connection, and a sense of belonging. Medical professionals took notice of her journey as well. Dr. Emily Carter, a psychologist specializing in geriatric mental health, remarked, "Social isolation is one of the biggest threats to senior mental health. By staying connected through technology, older adults reduce their risk of depression and cognitive decline." Mrs. Agatha didn't just entertain, she fought loneliness with every video. Today, Mrs. Agatha remains an active presence online, using her platform to inspire others to try new things, no matter their age. She collaborates with young and old creators alike, bridging generational gaps in ways no one expected. Her story is a testament to the fact that growth and adventure don't have an expiration date. In a world that often sidelines the elderly, she carved out a space where wisdom meets whimsy, proving that the digital age belongs to everyone willing to explore it. And so, with every recipe she shares, every dance she attempts, and every conversation she sparks, Mrs. Agatha continues her journey, reminding the world that the joy of discovery never fades, it only evolves. Aging doesn't mean stopping new experiences. Digital platforms provide a way for seniors to connect with others, share their wisdom, and stay engaged with the world. Story 3, The Adventurous Grandpa, Mr. Henry's cross-country road trip. At 88 years old, Mr. Henry found himself sitting in his small but cozy home, staring at an old, faded map of the United States. Over the years, he had raised a family, built a career, and enjoyed many cherished moments. But as he traced his fingers across the lines of highways and cities, he wondered, how far have I really gone in my life? The thought lingered in his mind, igniting a spark that had long been buried beneath the routine of daily life. He decided then and there that it was time for an adventure. Age would not be his excuse, it would be his motivation. Determined to make his journey a reality, he set to work transforming his trusty old pickup truck into a makeshift mobile home. With some creativity and a few modifications, he created a small sleeping area in the back, installed storage compartments for supplies, and even added a tiny kitchenette. His children and grandchildren raised their eyebrows when he shared his plan, but they knew better than to question Mr. Henry's resolve. "Grandpa, are you sure?" his granddaughter Lucy asked, half in awe, half in concern. "Absolutely, sweetheart. I have a lot of road left to cover," he replied with a wink. And so on a crisp autumn morning, Mr. Henry set off on his grand adventure. His journey was a winding path through America's heartland, each mile adding a new chapter to his story. He started in his hometown in Vermont, driving westward toward the Great Lakes. His first major stop was Chicago, where he indulged in the famed deep dish pizza. Sitting in a bustling pizzeria surrounded by locals and tourists alike, he felt the thrill of being part of something bigger than himself. "You know," he told a fellow diner, "I used to think adventure was for the young, but here I am, having the time of my life." From Chicago, he made his way south to St. Louis, marveling at the Gateway Arch, a symbol of westward expansion. He struck up conversations with strangers, learning about their lives, their dreams, and their challenges. Each interaction reminded him that people, no matter where they were from, shared common hopes and aspirations. As he ventured deeper into the heart of America, he found himself in Texas, a place he had always dreamed of visiting. In a small town outside of Austin, he was invited to a rodeo by a group of friendly locals. They even convinced him to try horseback riding. The experience was exhilarating until the horse, sensing his nervousness, gave a sudden jolt, nearly sending him tumbling to the ground. Laughing as he steadied himself, he thought, well, that was an unexpected twist. His journey continued through the vast deserts of New Mexico, where he watched the sun set over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple. In Arizona, he stood in awe at the Grand Canyon, feeling a deep sense of humility in the face of nature's grandeur. "If only my wife could see this," he whispered, holding on to the memory of the woman he had loved dearly. As he neared California, he made an impromptu stop at a small beach town along the Pacific coast. There, he dipped his toes into the ocean, letting the waves wash over him. The sensation was both refreshing and symbolic, a reminder that no matter how far one has travelled, there is always more to explore. Throughout his adventure, Mr. Henry faced challenges. There were days when his back ached from long hours of driving, nights when he questioned whether he had made the right decision, and moments of loneliness when he missed his family. But each challenge was met with resilience and a sense of humour. "Life doesn't stop just because you get older," he mused one evening, watching the stars from his truck's makeshift bed. "It only stops when you let it." After months on the road, he eventually made his way back home. His journey had taken him across countless states, through bustling cities and quiet countryside, and had introduced him to people and experiences he would never forget. As he pulled into his driveway, his grandchildren ran to greet him. "Tell us everything, Grandpa," they exclaimed. And so, with a twinkle in his eye, he began recounting his tales of adventure. Mobility issues may limit physical travel, but curiosity keeps life exciting. Whether through virtual travel, local explorations, or embracing new hobbies, there's always a way to keep discovering. Older adults who stay mentally and physically active live longer, healthier lives. Travel, even in small ways, keeps the brain sharp and the spirit alive. Research has shown that engaging in new experiences stimulates cognitive function and can improve overall well-being. Whether it's taking a short road trip, exploring a nearby park, or even learning about new places from home, staying curious and engaged is key to a fulfilling life. Mr. Henry's journey serves as a testament to the power of adventure at any age. His story is a reminder that life is meant to be lived fully, with open arms and an open heart. No matter how many candles are on the birthday cake, there's always another road to travel, another lesson to learn, and another moment to cherish. Story 4: The Tech-Savvy Grandma, Mrs. Eleanor's Smartphone Journey. At the age of 80, Mrs. Eleanor had lived a full and rich life. She had witnessed the evolution of technology, from rotary phones to wireless home telephones, from black and white televisions to smart TVs. Yet despite all the technological advancements she had seen, she had never felt the need to embrace them herself. Her world had always been one of handwritten letters, Sunday visits from family, and face-to-face conversations over tea. However, when her beloved granddaughter Emma moved to another state for college, everything changed. Emma had been the light of her life, always dropping by after school, bringing laughter, stories, and an endless supply of warm hugs. The idea of not seeing her for months at a time was heartbreaking. Emma, sensing her grandmother's sadness, suggested a solution: video calls. "Grandma, you can see me anytime. Just pick up a smartphone and we can talk face to face," Emma said cheerfully. Mrs. Eleanor was sceptical. "Oh, Emma, I don't know how to use those things. All those buttons and screens confuse me." But Emma was persistent. "I'll teach you, Grandma. It's easier than you think." Thus began Mrs. Eleanor's journey into the world of smartphones. At first, the sleek, glowing screen of the smartphone seemed like an enigma. Mrs. Eleanor hesitated to touch it, afraid she might break something. But Emma guided her step by step, starting with the basics, turning the phone on and off, adjusting the volume and navigating the touchscreen. "Think of it like a book, Grandma. You just swipe to turn the page," Emma explained. After several days of practice, Mrs. Eleanor managed to send her first text message. "Hello, Emma! This is Grandma!" The response came within seconds. "Grandma, you did it! I'm so proud of you!" A warm sense of accomplishment filled her heart. The next challenge was video calling. The first few attempts were clumsy. Sometimes she accidentally called the wrong person. Other times she held the phone too close to her face, making only her forehead visible. But Emma was patient. and Mrs. Eleanor was determined. One evening, after several weeks of practice, she successfully made a video call to Emma without any assistance. Seeing her granddaughter's smiling face on the screen, she felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Oh, my dear Emma, I can see you so clearly," she exclaimed. "This is amazing." Mrs. Eleanor soon found herself growing comfortable with her new device, but not without a few humorous incidents along the way. Once she accidentally joined a group chat filled with Emma's college friends. Confused but determined to be polite, she sent a message. "Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a lovely day," Emma quickly called her. "Grandma, I love you, but you don't need to be in my study group chat." Another time, she misheard Emma's instructions and ended up ordering 20 bags of cat food online instead of 2. She didn't even have a cat. Despite these small mishaps, Mrs. Eleanor found joy in the learning process. She began exploring other features on her phone, listening to audiobooks, playing word games to keep her mind sharp, and even setting reminders for her medication. Her confidence grew with each new skill. As Mrs. Eleanor became more tech-savvy, she also found a new way to connect with the younger generation. Her great-niece, Lily, an avid social media user, introduced her to photo-sharing apps. "Grandma, let's take a selfie," Lily said one afternoon. "A selfie? What's that?" Mrs. Eleanor asked curiously. Lily demonstrated, holding up the phone and capturing a moment of their laughter. Mrs. Eleanor was delighted by the result. She started taking pictures of her garden, her knitting projects, and her homemade pies, sharing them with her family. One day she received a comment from a distant cousin. "Eleanor, your roses look beautiful. I remember when we used to play in Grandma's garden as kids. The ability to share her life in real time with family members near and far brought her immense joy." Despite her progress, there were still moments of frustration. One evening, she mistakenly deleted all her contacts. Panicked, she called Emma in tears. "I lost everything. I knew I shouldn't have trusted this thing." Emma reassured her. "It's okay, Grandma. We can recover them. Mistakes happen. The important thing is that you're learning and trying." Mrs. Eleanor took a deep breath and realized Emma was right. Every skill came with challenges, but that didn't mean she should give up. Dr. Hayes, a geriatric specialist, had seen firsthand the benefits of technology in elderly patients. Seniors who engage with digital tools experience less loneliness and better cognitive function. Simple tech skills like video calling or using apps for brain training can significantly improve their quality of life, he explained. Studies showed that seniors who regularly used technology felt more connected to their families, had higher self-esteem, and were less likely to suffer from depression. As months passed, Mrs. Eleanor no longer saw technology as an intimidating force, but rather as a bridge connecting her to her loved ones. She started helping her friends at the senior centre set up their own smartphones. They affectionately called her the tech guru. One afternoon, as she sat in her garden, she received a video call from Emma. "Grandma, I have a surprise for you," Emma said, flipping the camera to reveal a beautiful sunset over her college campus. Mrs. Eleanor gasped. "Oh, Emma, it's breathtaking. It feels like I'm right there with you." And in that moment, she realized that learning technology had never been about keeping up with trends. It was about staying connected with the people she loved. No matter her age, she had proven that it was never too late to learn something new. Story 5, The Passionate Gardener, Mr. Lewis and His Garden of Memories. At 79 years old, Mr. Lewis had seen many seasons of life, but one thing remained constant: his love for gardening. His backyard had once been a vibrant sanctuary bursting with colours from roses, tulips, sunflowers, and a variety of herbs. The scent of lavender and jasmine often filled the air, mingling with the earthy aroma of freshly turned soil. Birds found comfort among the branches of his trees, and butterflies danced from petal to petal, painting the garden with life. However, time had begun to weigh on Mr. Lewis's body. His knees ached, his back protested every time he bent down, and his hands, once steady, had become less reliable with age. The vast expanse of his garden, which he had once tended with boundless energy, now seemed overwhelming. but giving up was never an option. Instead of mourning the loss of his physical capabilities, Mr. Lewis found new ways to continue his passion. He adapted his gardening style, setting up raised beds that allowed him to work without straining his knees. He placed shelves along the fence, filling them with potted plants that he could tend without bending too much. His once sprawling vegetable patch was now a collection of hanging baskets and container gardens filled with cherry tomatoes, basil and miniature peppers. Though the scale of his garden had changed, the joy it brought him remained untouched. Every morning, Mr. Lewis followed the same cherished routine. He would wake up early, make himself a cup of coffee, and step outside to greet his plants. The rustling leaves and the soft chirping of birds were as much a part of his morning as the warmth of his coffee cup. He would take his time inspecting each plant, gently touching their leaves, whispering words of encouragement as if they were old friends. Neighbours admired his dedication. Some would stop by just to chat and admire his work. Children from the visit wide-eyed as they listened to Mr. Lewis share gardening tips. He became a local inspiration, proving that passion and purpose didn't have to fade with age. They just needed to be nurtured differently. One day, his granddaughter Emma visited him. She had always loved spending summers in his garden as a child, playing in the soft grass and learning the names of flowers from her grandfather. Now a young adult, she had started her own small apartment garden inspired by the lessons he had taught her. "Grandpa," she said, sitting beside him on the garden bench, "do you ever miss the big garden you used to have?" Mr. Lewis smiled, looking around at his carefully arranged pots and raised beds. "Not really, sweetheart. It's not about the size of the garden. It's about what it gives you. This space still gives me peace, purpose, and joy. That's all I need." His words stayed with Emma. She realised that happiness wasn't measured by how much one had, but by how much one appreciated what they had. Mr. Lewis's garden, though smaller than before, was still a place of beauty and fulfilment. It was a testament to resilience, to the ability to adapt without losing the essence of what makes life meaningful. As the seasons changed, so did Mr. Lewis's garden. In the spring, it was a burst of fresh green and pastel blooms. In the summer, the fragrance of herbs and flowers filled the air. Autumn turned the leaves to brilliant shades of gold and red, and in winter, the evergreens stood proudly, defying the cold. No matter the season, Mr. Lewis found something to love about his garden. Finding adaptive ways to pursue passions is key to a fulfilling old age. Joy and purpose are the true measures of a well-lived life. Whether through gardening, music, writing, or teaching, there are always ways to continue doing what brings happiness. Life isn't about what we lose over time, it's about how we make the most of what remains. From a medical standpoint, purpose is essential for aging well. Studies have shown that individuals who remain engaged in meaningful activities experience better mental health, reduced stress levels, and even increased longevity. Gardening, for instance, provides both physical exercise and cognitive stimulation. The act of nurturing plants promotes patience and mindfulness, and the connection with nature has been linked to lower blood pressure and improved mood. Whether through gardening, music, or mentoring others, having something to nurture keeps the mind and heart young. Mr. Lewis's story is a reminder that while aging may change how we do things, it doesn't have to take away what we love. Adaptation is the key to maintaining a fulfilling life, ensuring that passion continues to bloom, no matter the circumstances. Story 6, The Homebound Explorer, Mr. Victor's Journey Through Memories. At 85, Mr. Victor had long since retired from his days as an avid traveller. His legs, once strong enough to carry him through the bustling streets of Tokyo, across the cobblestone alleys of Rome, and up the rugged trails of Patagonia, now wobbled when he stood for too long. His body no longer allowed him to pack a suitcase and embark on an adventure across the globe. But Mr. Victor never saw this as a limitation. He saw it as an opportunity to embark on a different kind of journey, one of memories, reflection, and deep appreciation for the life he had lived. Every corner of Mr. Victor's home was a portal to a different country. The walls of his study were lined with bookshelves overflowing with travel journals, guidebooks, and novels he had collected over decades. A vintage globe sat on his desk, its surface worn from the many times he had traced routes with his fingers, dreaming of the places he had been and the ones he had yet to see. His living room was a museum of his adventures. A Persian rug from Tehran, ceramic plates from Istanbul, a hand-woven basket from Ghana, and tiny Eiffel Tower replicas from Paris were scattered across the room. Each artifact had a story, and he often found himself telling these tales to anyone who visited. His grandson, Leo, was his most eager listener. "Grandpa, tell me about the time you got lost in Marrakech again," Leo would say, eyes wide with curiosity. And so Mr. Victor would recount the adventure, the winding alleys, the scents of saffron and cinnamon in the air, the kind shopkeeper who helped him find his way back to his riad. Even though he had told the story countless times, each retelling was as vivid as the first, and it made him feel as though he were there once more. One of Mr. Victor's favourite ways to revisit his travels was through food. He had always been an adventurous eater, and over the years he had learned to cook dishes from many different cultures. His kitchen was a world of its own, filled with exotic spices, handwritten recipes, and the scent of something delicious always lingering in the air. On Monday nights, he made homemade pasta with a simple tomato sauce, just as he had learned from an elderly woman in Naples. On Thursdays, he prepared fragrant bowls of pho, a skill he had picked up during his time in Hanoi. And on Sundays he brewed Moroccan mint tea and served it in the ornate silver teapot he had bought in the souks of Marrakech. Cooking these meals wasn't just about eating, it was about remembering. As he kneaded dough, chopped vegetables, or stirred a simmering pot, memories of the places, people and moments tied to those flavours came rushing back. Each bite transported him to another country, another time. Though he could no longer step onto an airplane, technology allowed him to continue exploring. Mr. Victor spent hours watching travel documentaries, reading blogs, and following adventurers on social media. Virtual reality headsets gave him a new way to see places he had never been. He could stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon, walk through the bustling streets of Mumbai, or dive deep into the coral reefs of Australia, all from his armchair. His curiosity never faded. He read about new cultures, learned foreign phrases, and even took online courses in world history and geography. His favourite pastime was video calling friends he had made around the world. Though decades had passed, his friendships endured. They exchanged stories, shared laughter, and sometimes even cooked together over the call, each preparing a dish from their respective cultures. Dr. Elaine Carter, Mr. Victor's longtime physician, often admired his zest for life. She had seen many elderly patients struggle with aging, feeling isolated or disconnected from the world. But Mr. Victor was different. His ability to relive his past positively contributed to his well-being. Nostalgia, when used in a healthy way, can be incredibly beneficial, Dr. Carr once told him. It keeps your mind active, improves emotional health, and fosters a deep sense of fulfillment. The fact that you find joy in your memories rather than sadness is a testament to how well you've embraced life. Mr. Victor simply smiled. He knew aging was inevitable, but he had chosen to see it as another chapter of exploration. Perhaps he was no longer discovering new lands physically, but in his heart and mind, he remained an explorer, forever journeying through the richness of his past. As the years went by, Mr. Victor continued his homebound adventures. He shared his stories with his family, encouraged his grandchildren to embrace curiosity, and taught them that life's greatest journeys weren't just about miles travelled, but about the moments and perspectives gained. One evening, as Leo helped him place a fresh map on the wall, he asked, "Grandpa, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go?" Mr. Victor looked at the map and then at his grandson. He smiled and said, "Right here with you." Because every moment spent sharing these stories is its own kind of adventure. Leo grinned, realizing that while his grandfather's legs could no longer carry him across continents, his heart and mind still soared across the world, exploring with the same wonder and excitement as ever. These stories prove that growing old does not mean losing control of your life. The choice is yours. Will you let others dictate your days, or will you adapt and find ways to continue living on your terms? Each stage of life offers new opportunities, and aging is no exception. It's a time to redefine what fulfillment means to you, to embrace change with resilience, and to pursue passions you may have once set aside. Aging is not an end, it's a new beginning. It's a chance to cultivate wisdom, deepen relationships, and discover newfound freedom. Whether it's learning a new skill, traveling, engaging in community work, or simply finding peace in daily routines, the later years can be some of the most rewarding. You are not defined by a number, but by how you choose to live each day. Age is a mindset, and those who continue to grow, adapt, and seek joy prove that life can be meaningful at any stage. If you enjoyed these stories, share your thoughts in the comments. What are your dreams for old age? How do you plan to embrace the years ahead? Like, subscribe, and join us at Golden Years Balance as we continue exploring the wisdom and joy of later life.